Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, Breaking Bad Goddess. I wanted to come on today to talk about the skinny girl video on TikTok where this very attractive black girl talked about how her favorite thing to be is skinny, and it really triggered a lot of people. Women, I don't understand why women get so triggered by what other people like. I never bought into the body positive movement during that era, where I think it's waning a bit because so many of the body positive people are not, some of them are not even alive, which is one of the reasons why I never was on board with it to begin with, because I'm not an advocate for bad health. And to me, it seemed like an excuse to just be big and not really, true body positivity to me is, eating right, exercising, taking care of your body, not letting it go from one extreme to the other. Either way, you don't need to be real big and you don't need to be real skinny, but I saw this girl's video, and to me, yeah, she was slim, but she wasn't like anorexic, or she wasn't promoting an eating disorder. She was basically saying that, and I totally agree, that being leaner, being slimmer it's a whole privilege unto itself. I just feel like being formerly a bigger girl, fat girl, whatever you want to call it, and then slimming down to the size I am now, is a whole flex. You just get treated better. People tend to gravitate towards you. They treat you better. You get better service. And I'm not saying that's right, but it is the way the world is. There are levels to privileges. Being skinny is a privilege because we live in a society where most people aren't skinny, or lean or thin or whatever you want to call it. Most people are overweight. Most people do, have issues with, a larger frame, body habitus. And granted, there's some people who are okay with it, and that's fine. In my book, it's always personal universe. Whatever works for you in your own personal universe, that's what works. But for me and many other people, especially women that have lost weight and lost a significant amount of weight, and they find themselves now in a completely different ecosystem, a completely different environment in terms of what thinness and being lean does for you, in terms of, I read somewhere that being skinny is like the equivalent of getting a master's degree in terms of opportunities and just being, ripe for the picking and having access. That's how much thin privilege is in this society, especially in Western cultures. I just think that it's a whole flex, and a lot of women are just triggered by it. What else are they gonna do? It's your own body. You have the right to be as big or as lean as you want to be. I just don't understand why people are so upset about what other people do. If you can be proud about being big, why can't you be proud about being skinny? And I understand that there are people out there that take it to extreme levels one way or the other, but I'm not talking to the extremes. I'm just talking the middle. Just people who just rather have a leaner body habitus than someone who rather be big. Being on both sides of this coin, definitely being leaner, being smaller is much easier to navigate life. There are just a lot of privileges to that. Having been big before and now going through life being lean, I could tell you straight up, it's definitely different. It just is. There's no denying it, and I know there are other people out there who've had similar experiences going out in the world. You just get treated differently, and I think that even aside from the treatment, I find it much more pleasurable to go shopping, to go out, to pick out clothes. There's never any fear that anything's not going to be in my size, because a lot of the clothes just drape better, in my opinion. I feel more comfortable at this size than I was when I was like 65 pounds heavier. I just feel healthier. I can maneuver around a lot easier. I can endure more exercises and just activities. I sleep better. It's just a whole different life altogether. I mean, even in my relationship with my husband, it's just so much better. I mean, he's enjoying it. And I enjoy the fact that he enjoys it too. So it's just a whole flex. I don't want to promote anything that is extreme on either end. I'm just talking about normalcy, normal skinny. I'm only 5'1". So for me to be this size is much better than being 5'1" and 65 pounds heavier. I just assure you, it's a lot. It's a big difference in terms of, I can look back at videos that I've done when I was heavier, several videos back when I first started on YouTube. And I had noticed just talking, sitting down and talking into the camera, I can hear my breath and breathing heavy. And I was like really up there, much heavier than I am now. And I could actually hear my heavy breathing. Sitting down in a resting state and thinking, even then, when I was editing the video and thinking to myself, I really got to get this weight off of me. I mean, this is crazy. I can hear myself breathe. And everything is like labored. And I knew then that I had to really address my weight. But the funny thing is, people really don't say anything bad or have any kind of triggering mechanism that goes off when you're big. It's not until you start working on yourself, when you start losing the weight, when you start looking good, you start fitting into your clothes better. Now everybody has something to say about they feel like they have free agency to, whether they know you or not, to say something or address your change, especially if you go from big to small. Not so much if you go from small to big, people don't say anything. But they definitely feel very comfortable having some kind of, opinion about, being skinny. Something about being skinny in and of itself is very triggering. And I don't know, it's because people do know that it does come with a lot of privilege. Maybe there is some undercurrent of jealousy. Maybe that this is a backlash to the body positivity movement. And this is very typical. And I knew this trend would come around. I just noticed patterns of behavior, patterns in which things cycle back. And I knew during the midst of the fat positivity movement that this skinny movement was going to cycle back. I knew it, and here it is presenting itself. And so I find it all very interesting, just sitting back and looking at different women just trying to cancel other women for saying that they like being skinny. I like being skinny. I'm not gonna lie. I like being skinny more than I like being heavier. And I think deep down inside most people do, even if they don't want to admit it, because it comes with privileges. Not only privileges, but in my mind, I just feel healthier. I just feel like I can move around. Like I said before, I just feel healthier. I sleep better. Personally, I think I look better. I feel comfortable in my skin. I enjoy the fact that my husband and I, have a renewed affection and love and physicalness and closeness. It does make a difference. People can cry and bitch and moan about it, but I'm telling you, it's a total flex to lose the weight and get down to a normal size. And I'm just speaking in terms of normalcy. I don't want to see any comments about, well, you're promoting anorexia. No, I'm not promoting that. I'm not talking to the extremes from one end to the other. I'm talking about normal body habitus, but you're on the leaner side, especially for people who've moved from being big to small. There's extremes in everything, but I'm not addressing that. I'm not a doctor. I'm not talking to that crowd. I'm just talking to people who, just normal people every day who don't have an eating disorder, people who just lost weight because they needed to lose weight or they wanted to lose weight. And talking to those that have a problem with people embracing health, in my opinion, or embracing a smaller habitus. Because when I went to Paris a few months ago, I didn't hardly see any obese people there at all. And if I did, there were probably people from visiting into the country, but I didn't even see that. I really didn't. I didn't see. Me and my girlfriend were there for a good 5 days, and we didn't see not one out of shape person, men or woman. Everybody there are just a normal size, and they tend to be leaner, and they dress well, and they eat well, and their whole philosophy, as far as I could see in Paris, was they work to live. They don't live to work. They have a completely different, relaxed attitude about life, and it shows in their physical outlook, in their physical bodies. They just look good and they look healthy. And I come back to the United States, and it's like completely different. It's quite the opposite. It's this grinding, the hustle, and yet people are out of shape. They're not healthy. I think a lot of people have given up. They just are content with being bigger, and that's fine. But I think, cause and effect does play a role. And if you ignore your health, it's going to come back in some form or another, I think. I mean, we're all aging, we're all going to die eventually, but the thing is, to me, it's about quality of life. What kind of quality of life do I want? And I have to say that being on this side of the equation and being leaner, it's a whole vibe. I'm telling you, a whole vibe. So if you're already lean, do what you can to stay that way. Because as you get older, it just gets so hard to get the weight off. And for those that want to get leaner, do what you have to do. Whatever works. If you have to take the shots, if you have to join a club, if you have to, whatever, get a nutritionist, whatever works, do it. Because it's better on this side. No lie. But tell me what you think down in the comments. What has been your experience, especially if you're somebody like me who's been big and has managed to lose all the weight. Tell me what you think about this and your experience from going from a bigger person to a smaller person. And what do you think of that video on TikTok with the young lady talking about being skinny and really, enjoying being skinny? How that plays out in your mind. What do you think about that? And I'll talk to you on the next video. Take care.